The Ghana Meteorological Agency is warning residents living in the northern and Oti regions to expect fierce rainstorms in the coming weeks. One person was injured with 8 vehicles smashed by uprooted trees after parts of Accra witnessed heavy downpour. Chief weather forecaster at the Ghana Meteorological Agency, Felicity Ahiafianyo, told Joy News the public should be expecting regular rainfalls. Listen to her colleague on AM show a while ago.
Now for billboards, yes, people should be wary of getting closer to billboards, getting closer to walls, because some of the rains, when they come, they push walls down, buildings collapse. But most importantly, when you know where you are staying in a flat-front area, place, we advise that whenever the rain is coming, move to a safe haven or a higher ground. At least the rain will stop and then you can come back to your house. And then make sure that at least if you are living in the house, you put your valuable things on top of your building, because you may not know. There might be flash floods or something and it will come into your room. And also, we are advising people that they shouldn't wait when it's coming to rain. Then they move out all their debris and then their rubbish, they go and dump them in the gutter. You saw what happened yesterday. A lot of debris on the road. Yes, they are in the gutters. The gutters are made for water to pass, but we have put solid waste into them. If the water could not pass into rain, it will come onto the road. If it doesn't get it straight to the road, it will come into our homes. So we are appealing to everybody to at least be environmentally conscious and make sure that we do the right thing. Rains are very good. Unfortunately for us, we in Accra and some cities, our resilience level currently is very low. Those days, before Accra will get flooded or we get flash flood, it might rain for almost 3 or 4 or 5 days. Maybe you have 60 millimeters of rain for about a week before Accra will get flood. But currently, if we have 26, 30, 35 millimeters of rain over Accra, Accra will get flooded. We have paved a lot of places. We have cement a lot of places. We have built houses in a lot of places. So when it rains, water cannot percolate into the soil. And once the water cannot percolate into the soil, it will run over. And when the drainage systems too are not very huge, to contain, and we have silted them and to contain the running water, yes, to go into the sea, then it will spill onto the roads and into our homes. And that's why I'm saying that the resilient level of Accra has dropped drastically. So until we check all these things, yes, as for flash floods, big cities will have it. But it is the resilience and the things that they do that will not hamper any life and property. And that will also determine on how fast the flash flood will recede.
Well, I've been joined by Engineer Abdullahi Mahama, who is a civil engineer, for a conversation on this. I would also be joined by NADMO Communications Director George AEC for what the NADMO plans to do as the rain sets in. I'm grateful, gentlemen, for your time. I'll start with you, Engineer Mahama. We are here again, the time of the year when many become homeless and devastated. We've established over the years that what we really need is proper urban planning and infrastructural development. What is the challenge in getting these basic needs in place? Engineer Mahama? Do we have Engineer Mahama on the line?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Engineer, and thanks for your time. Right, we seem to be having challenges with Engineer Mahama. Let's try and get him back to talk about the infrastructural development and the fact that we need to also upgrade some, we need to have a proper urban planning. And that's why we're facing all of this. But George AEC is on the line. George, now that we're here, definitely we know that once the rain sets in, there's going to be flooding. At least we now understand that's what we're going to be seeing every year. What's the plan? Hello, George. Do we have George AEC? Right, there seemed to be a terrible connection with our lines. Do we have Engineer Mahama back on the line? Engineer Mahama, are you back?
Hello, George is here.
Right, George. So I'm asking what the plan for NADMO is as we set in the rain setting.
Yeah, thank you. We engage in localized communications to make people understand and know the flood risk of the area where they live in. And those in flood-prone areas, we try to identify places we call safe havens, which are higher grounds where people can go for safety when the floods begin to rise. And so we are doing that community engagement, identification of safe havens, and then how to assess those safe havens for their safety. Again, we encourage people to pay heed to the weather warning from Ghana Met so that they will act accordingly. For instance, if you want to go somewhere and the weather says it's going to be rainy and stormy, you ought to take that into consideration in making your decision as to where you're going. Those living in places that have trees and coal, we witnessed what happened yesterday. We advise that people are careful when they are moving around such places so that to avoid any such incidents. And again, parks and gardens, we entreat, if it's possible for them to prune some of these trees and then identify the ones that are likely to pose danger, we can get them out of the system. So we're engaging and then working with our partners to ensure the safety of the citizenry.
Have you done a survey to know what kind of devastation the rain for this year will cause? I'm talking about how, and also how much relief we will need, and plus, I mean, by the time the rain ends, and how fairly it will be distributed. Have you done a proper survey to get data on some of these things?
Well, I don't know about survey. We've not carried out any survey, but with a trend analysis, we have data over periods and with the forecast that is coming in. Based on the data available to us, we are able to project into the future that we are likely to have X number of people being affected as a result of the flooding. And that will inform our decision on what to stock. And you know, we have our warehouses and we have pre-positioning to do. So that is what we do. The trend analysis informs us on the projections we make into the future.
Well, do we have Engineer Mahama back? All right, so we lost Engineer Mahama there. Let's thank George AEC, who is from NADMO. Thank you for your time. Engineer Mahama, if you are back, the issue has been with proper urban planning and infrastructural development. What has been the challenge with us? Why are we still battling with some of these situations immediately the rain sets in?
Yeah, well, I say good morning to your cherished viewers. I think, Aisha, you and I have had this interview over and over again.
Yes, at least every year. It's become a ritual.
Yes, and you know, population growth, if not tackled well, would rather aggravate the situation, because day in and out, if you look at where you stay or the nearest suburbs of Accra, expansion is astronomical. And if we do not allow the physical planning to move ahead of population growth in terms of planning for a new settlement or a new developing area, we would meet the same process. We would go in to engage the people would have started their construction before the institutions would go in to force the planning. And when you do that, because you are going after the people have settled, it becomes a disincentive for government to move in, because when the layouts are not demarcated for construction of roads and drainages and retention ponds, the compensation that government would have to be paying will be too much for government. So then they close a blind, they just turn a blind eye to such reckless development, and new communities hitherto should have had a very good history behind to develop a good future are repeating the same mess. So we are of the view that the physical planning authorities of the assemblies would have to up their game. I know the only thing they would say is that they are well not resourced. So if that is the case, then government should at least concentrate on those aspects and then get some form of funds available to the physical plan officers to actually take the lead in planning our fallow lands for expansion of the infrastructure development across the country. And it's not only in Accra. Some years back, we don't experience flooding in Kufuridua, we're not experiencing flooding in the Volta region, central region, and the like. But now, it looks like the flooding has cut across the country, and it's a source of worry. If I will touch briefly on what happened yesterday, the storm that brought down a tree means that it can bring down any haphazard construction, especially with our roof designs. So we have to engage good engineers to get us good designs, and we'll get good contractors or experienced workmen to execute those designs that have been given out for construction. And I've noticed over the years that we are installing billboards across, and we saw some few ones which were down yesterday. It has to be properly designed, and it goes back to the same assembly. The assembly identify the owners of the billboards, and some fees are charged. I don't know whether it's quarterly or yearly, but before the assembly would go in and do the charges, they would have to ensure the structural integrity of those billboards, because one billboard stands about 10 meters, and if a 10-meter billboard should fall down, it can take the lives of not less than 5 people if all of them are within the range of the site that the pole or the board will fall in covering the area.
And the question then again is, will there ever be a time when we will actually heave a sigh of relief and feel at home when the rain sets in with the way we are going?
Enforcement. Aisha, I pray and request that maybe we have to sustain a little bit of education after, either before the rains, during the rains, and after the rains. It should be a routine. And where advocacies are sustained, we should be able to ensure that we see public information about those who fall short of the law, those who are not enforcing the law to work. Any offender who is sentenced is given some public notice. I mean, for all of us to be a deterrent to us when we see some of these things happen, because we see buildings collapsing and we don't hear the conclusion of what happens. Let's just talk about this wonderful community apiati that the government has just gone to commission last week. I'm told that the offenders, let's say those who actually didn't follow regulations, were just given some administrative charges. Does it end there? This fire outbreak will not be the last. This negligence will not be the last. But what's the deterrent? So these are the things that you have to sustain as one of the media houses, very powerful media houses, and we'll get an answer, because I'm becoming very exhausted with repeated advocacy, repeated profile of solutions that is falling on deaf ears, especially when it comes to the government institutions who are mandated by a lot of the wonderful acts to work, and they are not doing it. So it's very sad that we know what we are supposed to do as officers of the assemblies. We know what we are supposed to do as developers, yet because we know that there will not be any punishment at the end of the day, we go back to sleep. And next year, the rains will come. We are yet to start. You see, the global warming is across the world. You have seen what is happening in Dubai. You have seen what is happening in Saudi Arabia. Some areas that had never witnessed flooding to that magnitude are receiving it. You know, Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, have made a law that nobody can cut even a tree in their compound unless express approval is given by the local assemblies. Is that what is happening in the country? That tree that fell yesterday, causing the havoc. Let's say if that tree was not there to receive that storm, to break down the load, the wind load, and it had gone past there without any tree, I'm sure we might have been hearing very devastating news elsewhere. So the trees are equally very important. Like Isu was saying, Honorable Isu was saying, the ones that will feel like they are so old that their roots are actually giving way because of erosion taking place under the roots have to be removed so that adequate planting will be carried out to replace those ones. Because the wind is coming, the devastation is increasing, the drought is increasing, the flash floods are increasing, and the environment had to be given prior, interest before any other thing would materialize in this country, at least for us to be able to curb down the devastation that is accompanied with some of these floods in our countries.
Well, we'll be hoping that things will get better, but of course, we cannot sit down with our hands folded. We definitely have to do something. I'm grateful for your time, Engineer Abdullahi Mahama, with those solutions that you proffer. In fact, every year, we'll see how that goes. Let's take